What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, James Eeks, and we are back with our second installment of the Team Compositions Guide series. This episode is going to be on hyper offense. So let's do a little quick review on what a team composition is. I would say it is the central overarching strategy of your team, and improving in knowing about team compositions is going to help you in your team building. It's going to help you in your team select and even in your in-game decisions. I like to say if you know your opponent's goal, then you can act accordingly. So guys, before we get in, make sure to leave a like on this video. It goes a long way. I'd really appreciate it, homies. And then, of course, subscribe to the channel if you guys aren't already subscribed. We're almost to 1,000 subs. We're slowly growing, baby. So we'd appreciate the support. And of course, guys, check me out on Twitch where I stream 5 days a week, full-time Pokemon content. So guys, let's get into it. Now, what is hyper offense? I would say, as the name suggests, it is a team that tries to overwhelm the opponent with its offense. They want to end the game in as little turns as possible. This is a very high risk, high reward team composition. They always want to hit first, and they always want to get a KO every single turn, with most, if not all, of their EVs going into speed and damage. They live by the mantra of the best defense is a good offense. If you knock out your opponent's Pokemon, they can't hit you back, you know? So to ensure you go first, hyper offense heavily relies on speed control. Now, this is usually in the form of Tailwind, Prankster Tailwind, or Max Airstream, and it's coupled with shutting down opposing speed control, such as Taunt and things like Imprison Trick Room. We're going to be learning that Trick Room is hyper offense's worst enemy. So hyper offense has become more prevalent over the years because Z moves and Dynamax synergize very well with picking up easy and fast KOs on Pokemon from pretty much full health. So hyper offense teams also do not fit into the traditional mold of needing defensive type synergy. These teams don't plan on getting hit. They don't need that defensive synergy. What they need is offensive type synergy. They need to be able to OHKO as many Pokemon in the meta as humanly possible. So they require a plethora of damage types, so lots of different attacks, Ice Beams, Thunderbolts, Energy Balls, and sometimes they just need a few insanely strong ones, such as Dracovish's Vicious Rend or Porygon-Z's Max Strike. And that's so that you won't get walled out by defense Pokemon, because hyper offense really needs to put the gas on the pedal, you know what I'm saying? Like they need to end the game as fast as possible during their Dynamax, during their Tailwind turns. So let's see some examples. Here in VGC 2020, there is a ton of hyper offense, so I'll be focusing on a few different teams and I'll bunch them together. The reason why it's so popular is just because Dynamax, Life Orb, Weakness Policy, all that stuff is just made to destroy teams, and that's what hyper offense wants to do. So we've got two teams here, and as we can see, these teams share some pretty strong similarities, just like last episode. They both have a Whimsicott to set up the Prankster Tailwind and get the ball rolling immediately. Their primary Dynamax users usually have speed control, as you can see in the bottom team. The ones that would most likely Dynamax would be Cinderace and Porygon-Z, which they have speed control in Max Airstream and Max Strike, which is also really important because speed is everything to hyper offense teams. And then they also have a Psychic Spam mode. They've got Indeedee Male and Alakazam, and then there's Indeedee Female and Gardevoir to take advantage of the new Expanding Force move. And they also have Imprison Trick Room to shut down Trick Room, both on Gardevoir and Alakazam. Psychic Terrain also allows these teams to not be slowed down by moves such as Fake Out or Prankster Thunderwave, or caught up to with things like Sucker Punch, Extreme Speed, etc. And then they have a huge damage source such as Libero Cinderace, such as Porygon-Z, such as Dracovish with Vicious Rend, all that stuff. And then you can see that they have lots of different type coverages. For example, once again, Cinderace. Cinderace is amazing. I'm going to be talking about him a lot in this section because he can transform and get stab in multiple types. So he is very good at hitting with multiple different types. And then the top team is more of an example of those super strong single types. So Psychic Spam, Water from Vicious Rend, and then usually just the stab attacks from Duraludon are the strongest ones. So as you guys can see, each member of these teams provides either one or multiple of speed control, heavy damage, or disrupting the opponent's speed control. Hyper offense does not come without weaknesses. For such a high risk, high reward team composition, there are a lot of weaknesses to go over. First, I would say, is bulky teams that cannot be broken through easily. Hyper Offense almost always has extremely frail Pokemon on their team. So if you can survive the initial onslaught, the Dynamax turns, the Z move, etc., then you can just KO these frail Pokemon right back. Because once Hyper Offense runs out of the ammo, they can just easily be picked off. And if you can switch around, get those good defensive switch-ins, you know, and make you take a resisted attack, or protect at the right time on big attacks, then they're going to run out of steam, they're going to run out of Tailwind, Dynamax turns, and then you'll be able to pick them off. So defensive play, good switches is a big weakness of Hyper Offense. And then I would also say that status conditions also pose a huge threat to hyper offensive teams such as paralysis, burn, and sleep, because if you make them rendered useless, you make it so they can't move, you make it so they do no damage, or you hit first, it's very easy to KO them once again because they are very, very frail. And then hyper offense's worst enemy is Trick Room. This is what I was talking about earlier. 6 frail and fast Pokemon. That is the definition of things that are going to get easily mowed down under Trick Room. So that's why every hyper offensive team has heavy answers to Trick Room, such as Imprison and Trick Room, Taunt, Dragon Tail. They need multiple of these things, or they need a way to ensure that they can one-hit KO the Trick Room setter. Sometimes they even have Trick Room teched onto their team so that they can reverse it themselves. But if you are able to get up Trick Room against a hyper offensive team, it should almost certainly result in a win, I would say. So try to KO the hyper offensive team's Imprisoner and then set up the Trick Room. Don't go for it turn 1. Or protect your Trick Room user as best you can and make sure you get it up. In conclusion, my friends, hyper offense is a high risk, high reward team composition. They want to end the game in about 4 to 5 turns max during their Dynamax or their Tailwind turns usually. But if you can survive the initial burst of power, you can easily pick off the frail Pokemon after. Also, status conditions and Trick Room are its worst enemy. That's another team comp in the bag, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we're going to be back next week with our next one. So let me know down in the comments what team composition you guys would like me to do in the next video. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you're not. We're on our way to 1,000 subs, which is super cool. Drop a like, baby, all that jazz. I appreciate you guys very much for hanging out and enjoying these videos. So guys, I will see you guys next time. Peace, everybody.